Hello, my name is James Prest. Today we're going to be covering the topic of true religion. You can view this and other like presentations at answersforadventists.wordpress.com. So let's go ahead and get into our topic today. What exactly is our goal when we do evangelism? Is our goal to get everybody to believe like we do? Is our goal to actually help people because we care about them? What is our goal? What should be our primary concern when we're doing evangelism? What should be of the most importance in this work? Now we're covering the topic of true religion, so let's go ahead and read what the Bible says pure religion is. I think if it's pure, it's probably true, right? James chapter 1, verse 27, it says this: Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. So what's true religion? What's pure religion? It's compassion, as actually manifested in helping people. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction. When they're afflicted, go visit them, encourage them, comfort them, help them, give them food, and to keep ourselves unspotted from the world. That's pure religion. Now, I want to read to you from the Ministry of Healing, 143, paragraphs 2 through 4. Let's read a description of Jesus. It says, the world needs today what it needed 1900 years ago, a revelation of Christ. Next paragraph. It says, Christ's method alone will give true success in reaching the people. What was his method? What was this revelation of Christ that we need now? The Savior mingled with men as one who desired their good. He showed his sympathy for them, ministered to their needs, won their confidence, and then bade them, follow me. Next paragraph. There is need of coming close to the people by personal effort. If less time were given to sermonizing and more time were spent in personal ministry, greater results would be seen. The poor to be relieved, the sick cared for, the sorrowing and bereaved comforted, the ignorant instructed, the inexperienced counseled. We are to weep with those that weep and rejoice with those that rejoice. So a revelation of Christ is actually helping people. Is a revelation of Christ seen in making sure people of other churches believe the right things? What is our goal? I'll get back to that question. What is our goal in evangelism? Is it to help them with their health and with different things so that way they can believe like we do? Is that our goal? So they can believe like us? Or is our goal to actually help them? Ellen White says that the health message is an opening wedge to the gospel. But you have to understand that sharing the health message with people and actually helping them is the gospel. We're not supposed to be, doing these health seminars and these stop smoking classes and all these things that we do as Adventists to just so that way in the end we can get them to believe like we do. No, that's not what Jesus was about. I'm not saying beliefs aren't important. I'm saying, what are we focusing on? Our beliefs or actually loving the people? Jesus actually loved them. He knew Judas was going to betray him, but he still loved him. I want to keep going. I want to look at some other things here. This one's powerful. Don't ever forget this sentence that I'm going to read to you. This is from Ministry of Healing 25, paragraphs 3 and 4. But listen, especially this first sentence. It says, Christ recognized no distinction of nationality or rank or creed. Creed means a set of beliefs. That's the definition for the past 200 plus years. Christ recognized no distinction of creed. He did not recognize a distinction of beliefs. He did not recognize a distinction of then religion. He didn't look and see Muslims and Mormons and Adventists and Jehovah's Witnesses and Islams, and he didn't see any of that. Christ didn't recognize a distinction there. He saw people whom it was his job to save and to love and to help. That's what he saw. But I think the tendency for us as Adventists, We're like evangelism, opening wedge, right arm of the gospel. We're going to help them with their health, and then we're going to make them believe like us. Jesus didn't even recognize a distinction of beliefs. He just helped people. Is our goal to help people or to make them believe like us? Jesus didn't recognize the distinction of beliefs. If you don't recognize the distinction of beliefs, he's not there to make them believe the right thing, because he doesn't even recognize that. He was there to help them. It says the scribes and Pharisees desired to make local and national benefit of the gifts of heaven and to exclude the rest of God's family in the world. But Christ came to break down every wall of partition. He came to show that his gift of mercy and love is as unconfined as the air, the light, or the showers of rain that refresh the earth. So did Christ come to make everybody believe the same, or to believe like him, or to believe the right things? No, it says Christ came to break down every wall of partition that are established by all these different beliefs. Next paragraph. The life of Christ established a religion in which there is no caste. The life of Christ established a religion in which there is no caste. A religion by which Jew and Gentile, free and bond, are linked in a common brotherhood, equal before God. No question of policy influences movements. He made no difference between neighbors and strangers, friends and enemies. Jesus did not look at people and see a whole bunch of different groups. He came to break down the walls that separated all those groups. He came to break down every wall of partition. I want to read to you this statement here. I was looking on Facebook the other day. I found this. I'm like, this is perfect. I've got to use this. Let me read this to you. I'll just read it to you. Okay? It says, I've never met a Christian, Muslim, atheist, ski, Seventh-day Adventist, Mormon, liberal, conservative, anarchist, socialist, Marxist, communist, libertarian, Hindu, Zionist, American, Briton, French, Icelandic, South African, German, Angolian. I've only met other humans, some of whom have let themselves be divided by labels. This person, whoever wrote this, I don't know who it is, says, I've never seen Christians or Muslims or atheists or more. He says, I've never seen these things. I've seen humans that have allowed themselves to be divided by labels, like Seventh-day Adventist or communist or American or Christian or atheist or anarchist or Marxist. They let themselves be divided by labels. And Christ came to break down every one of those labels that divided them. He didn't recognize a distinction of creed. He didn't recognize a distinction of beliefs. He came to show that his gift of mercy and love is as unconfined as the air, the light, or the showers of rain that refresh the earth. He didn't come to make sure everybody's believing the right stuff. He came to show them that he loved them. So when we do missionary work, are we going out there to show them we love them? Or are we going out there to help them with some stuff and their health and their kids? That way we can reach our ultimate goal of making them believe like us. Building up a wall of partition so that way they're separate from the rest of the world. When people say, James, but God wants us to come out of Babylon and be separate and touch not the unclean. But do you know why? That ye be not partakers of her sins. It doesn't say separate yourselves from the rest of humanity and become your own little religion over here, and so that way you can keep to yourselves and not become defiled. The whole point of this separation was so you don't sin. Don't be corrupted by the association. But it doesn't mean don't be their friend. It doesn't mean say, you're this. My beliefs won't let me talk to you. My beliefs won't let me come around you. I can't be in your association. I have to go to my church. You're a different faith. Jesus ate with publicans and sinners. Beautiful. So beautiful. People say, Jesus needs to come out from among them and be separate, that he touch not the unclean thing. Make sure he's not defiled. Jesus came and loved everybody. You have to understand, the reason God wanted Israel to separate from the rest of the world was so they didn't sin. It wasn't so they could set up this big wall and say, we're God's people and you're not. That's not what it was. They're all God's children, and He wants to show them all He loves them. But we hide behind this title, we divide ourselves by all these labels, and Christ, if He was come, what does it say? It says, we just read it. The world needs today what it needed 1900 years ago, a revelation of Christ. Somebody who actually loved them. And what did Christ do? What does the world need today that it needed 1900 years ago? A revelation of Christ, a man who recognized no distinction of beliefs, didn't divide everybody up by labels, but somebody who actually loved them and wanted to help them and didn't have some ulterior motive to get you to believe like He did. He just wanted to love you. I want to read this to you. This is powerful. Desire of Ages 86, paragraph 3. Desire of Ages 86, paragraph 3. It says, Christ was not exclusive. He had given a special offense to the Pharisees by departing in this respect from their rigid rules. He found the domain of religion fenced in by high walls of seclusion as too sacred a matter for everyday life. These walls of partition He overthrew. In His contact with men, He did not ask, what is your creed? To what church do you belong? He exercised His helping power in behalf of all who needed help. Jesus didn't recognize the distinction of creed. He didn't say, what did you believe? What are your beliefs? What church do you go to? Which religion are you? He saw people whom it was His duty to love and save. He didn't separate everybody by categories. Jesus did not ask, what do you believe? Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and forever. Do you think He's going to ask, did they believe the right things in the judgment? You think He's going to ask that? Let's read a little bit more. Down further, it says, at all times and in all places He manifested a loving interest in men, and shed about Him the light of a cheerful piety. All this was a rebuke to the Pharisees. It showed that religion does not consist in selfishness, and that their morbid devotion to personal interest was far from being true godliness. This had roused their enmity against Jesus so that they tried to enforce His conformity to their regulations. So Jesus just loved people. He didn't try to make everybody believe like Him. Didn't try to make everybody believe like the scribes and Pharisees. And this made them mad. Just because He loved everybody and didn't try to make them believe all the same thing. So what's the conclusion of this whole matter? You can read it in Ecclesiastes 12, 13, and 14. It says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So what's the conclusion of the whole matter? Make sure everybody believes like you do. Make sure you believe in the right things. No. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God. That means love, respect, and honor your Creator. Fear God and keep His commandments. Keep His commandments means love one another as I've loved you. That's the conclusion of the whole matter. Love, respect, and honor God and love each other as Christ loved you. Not make everybody believe like you do. Am I saying beliefs aren't important? No. I'm saying that's not your goal. You're not supposed to be treating people kindly and helping them with their health so that way in the end they'll believe like you. You're supposed to be loving them because you're supposed to be loving them. That's what Jesus did. He didn't recognize distinction of creed. Do you realize if you don't recognize a distinction of beliefs, then your goal is not to try to make everybody believe like you. You don't even recognize it. You don't even recognize a difference. No distinction. How could His goal have been to make them believe all the right things? His goal was to love them. And when they saw the love of God manifested in His character, that was changing to them. What is our goal? Is our goal to make everybody believe like us? Make sure they got every point right on Daniel and Revelation and Sunday? I mean, is that our goal, or is our goal to actually love people? See, we use loving people as a means of trying to get them to believe like us, but that shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way, if anything. But I think our goal should just be to love people and help them. Not build up, and this bugs me. It says Christ came to break down every wall of partition, every label that divided people into categories. He came to break that down. Have you ever lost a friend because you believe differently than you? I have. Do you know what it's like to have a friend and they tell you we should probably distance ourselves because we believe differently. You teach things differently and I can't agree with them. So we need to distance ourselves and it's better. Do you think Jesus would have done that? Christ came to break down every wall that did this. We just read it up here. It says, Christ recognized no distinction of creed. Christ came to break down every wall of partition. Every wall. We're separating ourselves into little groups, giving them all labels. Christ came to destroy all of these. There was no difference between Jew and Gentiles, Samaritans, Romans. All of them were the same. And we're making our own little creed, our own little set of beliefs, and saying, this separates me from everyone else. You better separate, get better divide. Have you ever lost a family member? They don't want to talk to you anymore because they say, well, James, or well, whoever, we just believe so different. There's no point in talking anymore. You think Jesus would have done that? Build up a big wall because of beliefs? No, he would never do that. I've been separated from my church because of beliefs, my family because of belief, my friends because of beliefs. And Jesus is trying to destroy all these walls that people are building up because of beliefs. And I'm going to read you one of the most powerful statements I've ever seen in all the Spirit of Prophecy. Gospel Workers 3:15, paragraph 1. Says the only question asked in the judgment will be, have they been obedient to my commandments? Have they been obedient to my commandments? That means have they loved one another as I have loved them? So what's the only question asked in the judgment? Have they loved each other? He's not going to ask, did you believe all the right things? He's not asking that. He's not going to say, did you believe the right thing? What was your creed? To which church did you belong? Were you a member? He's not going to ask that. The only question asked in the judgment, I take that to mean that the only question asked in the judgment, none other, no exceptions, is that the only question asked is, have they loved each other as I've loved them? Christ came to destroy all these walls, all these labels by which we're separated from each other. Have you ever done literature evangelism? Go to knock on the door, the first thing they ask, what church do you go to? Well, I go to the Seventh Adventist Church. Wham! There is a big wall because of beliefs. Or vice versa. You go out and talk to someone, oh, hi, I'm a Seventh Adventist and I believe this. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I believe this. And you're like, well, that's wrong. You're going to privately interpret the scriptures then, huh? And tell them what to believe? And people actually fight over this. People slam the door in your face just because you're a different religion than them. Just because you go to a different church, you have a different set of beliefs. People have actually lost their love and care for each other because of these walls of partition, these dividing walls of creeds and beliefs. Jesus didn't even recognize that they were there. Walked right through these walls. Walked right through these distinctions that everybody made. And you say, well, I didn't hurt anyone by saying that I should be distant. I should separate myself from them because of belief. I didn't hurt them. They didn't need my help. I couldn't even help them. I was miles away, This was done over the phone or something. I didn't hurt anybody. Well, maybe you or their sister or their brother or their friend or their mother, and you just said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. We just believe differently. How would you like that? To lose a friend, a brother, a sister, a mother, a father, over beliefs. That's actually doing damage. That's not loving each other as Christ has loved you. God's not going to ask in the judgment, did you believe all the same? He's going to say, did you love each other? Is it loving to say, I don't want to talk to you anymore because we believe differently? I need to separate myself because we believe differently. Is that Jesus? Jesus ate with publicans and sinners, man. He ate with harlots. Forget what they believed. He was rubbing necks with harlots and rubbing shoulders. What in the world? See, you have to understand, the separation that God required of Israel to have was so that they didn't sin. Come out from among them and touch not the unclean thing. And what was the reason? What's the reason in Revelation 18? That you be not partakers of her sins. Don't sin. You don't have to drink the same drink and eat the same food. Don't sin. That's the reason for the separation. That doesn't mean separate yourselves and divide yourselves into all these little religious categories and give them all labels and say we're all different. Jesus came to destroy all that. He recognized no distinction. He was there to love people, and that's what we should be doing. That's pretty much all I wanted to say today. But let's get our focus straight. The goal is not to, in the end, make sure they believe all the right things and get there by helping them and showing that we care about them. The goal is to care about them. Not so that way in the end they can all believe like us. Go watch my final Reformation series. You'll see how we're not even supposed to have a list of fundamental beliefs everybody has to bow down to. It's not even supposed to be there. Now I'm done. But thank you for watching. Remember that the only question asked in the judgment will be, have they loved each other as I have loved them? It will not be, did they believe all the right things? Thank you for watching. God bless.